Big Ten tournament or Big Ten championship,
Okay. So a while
and
back.
we had a 5 or 5:30 flight, and or no, we had like an 8 o'clock flight, and we fought on radio,
Mm-hmm.
like literally fought. It was me, JB, Severe, and Severe and I got into a knockdown argument about Kenny Bell's block.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I got back, which the show got over at like 3:30, I think I showered, ordered White Castle. We had to be down in the lobby at like 5:15, and we bolted.
So what was the argument?
He kept telling me that it was such a bad. We were arguing defenseless,
Okay.
and I kept telling him the
If you're
dude.
pursuing the ball
I
carrier, you're
said the
not
dude could make.
defenseless.
I said the dude could make the play. Anything could happen.
Yeah, if you're
And Severe's a big letter of the law guy,
if you're pursuing the ball carrier, you're not defenseless.
and it was already pretty tumultuous.
And he got in front of him.
And I'm a guy that like walked back.
Yeah,
left
yeah,
the game.
yeah.
So that's back when I couldn't really control my emotions either.
Mm.
Oh boy, that was very contentious radio.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that it was 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not ideal.
No, we were rolling. I mean, it was. I still to this day, I'm like, use a different. Like they've cleaned the verbiage up a little bit, like unnecessary. But
Yeah, it's still dumb.
the whole defenseless thing,
It's still dumb.
again, tell that to D linemen that get trapped on trap blocks.
Yeah.
They're pretty defenseless.
Also, like, if you are pursuing the ball carrier,
Yeah.
you're going to have a really hard time convincing me you're defenseless, convincing me that it's unnecessary, or convincing me that it's excessive.
Did you hear him at the champions talk at the dealership
Kenny?
when he walked through that play?
No, I think I missed that part.
He said he goes the block gets a ton of love.
Yeah.
But he said the only reason I was in position is because I dogged my route.
Mm.
I was supposed to clear out, right? They were going to run the overs, and he was supposed to clear. And they ended up getting the over route late, but because he was so lazy, he was in position. So he's like, I got to make up for it. I just like the
kind of like self-awareness. And no, I like that.
And of course, it now lasts in infamy.
You know what's funny though?
That game gets so over. There were some great plays in that game, and it's just nobody revisits it.
You know what's funny though is when that play gets shown.
Unless you're an Aberdaris guy or you like Wisconsin or
nah. When that play gets shown, they almost never bring up the fact that it wasn't
a penalty.
That it wasn't legal.
I know.
Like it's always a highlight. Like that didn't even count.
Yeah, until guys are getting concussed, we glorified that stuff.
Even after for a while,
it's a great play.
It is a great play.
It's a great play.
That's the thing is it's not malicious. It ends up looking a certain way.
And I think he and Devin are I think they're boys.
Yeah.
The dude he rocked.
Like it ends up looking a certain way just because of the physics of the sport. But that's a dude trying to make a play on a guy that could have made the tackle. Also, I get hurt a little bit because I was a big Jamal Turner guy. And so that touchdown didn't count.
But. Yeah, JT is one of those guys that I'm just hoping we fall in love with these guys and it never pans out.
It doesn't pan out, yeah.
I'm hoping we're over that phase as fans. Because every year is supposed to be this guy's year. We almost went through it with Betts. We almost went through it with.
We did go through it with Betts, I think.
Malachi Coleman. We always pick these guys, right? And it's like.
So is that the fan base fault or is that part of the program? Because you look at these guys; they are talented. The guys that we tend to fall in love with.
Well, the next prime candidate could be Carter Nelson. I'm going to need Carter to function at a high level. Otherwise, he's going to be the guy that Nebraska fans are. He's a prime candidate.
So the guy I thought of, and I don't think he's a candidate because I don't think he's wired this way. But just playing style wise, it'd be really easy to fall in love with Jakori Barney because of just the highlights.
So here's the cool thing about that. I still think we bring up Jakori Barney kind of as an afterthought.
In the wide receiver room, yeah, we do. Because all the transfers.
Which is fantastic.
No, it's
we
terrific.
keep saying all the it's
the two major ones, yeah. It's the two major ones.
Let's not set that stage.
Got Hunter, got Dane Key. Those are your big ones.
I'm like, cool. But keep talking about the other guys.
I should say all the new guys because you got Mosey, you've got Cortez Mill, all the new
and they're
guys.
Still behind JB considerably.
Yeah, I think if I had to bet on a guy after Dane Key to be starting on August 31st,
yeah,
it would be Jakori Barney.
Well, they'll start 3.
That's fine.
But
think,
if
I had to pick the second
one, I think they're an 11 personnel. They're an 11 personnel.
I think it'll be Key, Hunter, and Barney.
One back, one tight end.
But
I think base.
If I had to pick a second guy after Key, because there is zero wavering on my end on Key.
No, you're gonna like Hunter.
That's fine.
And he's. This is horrible. I'm not even gonna say it. He's not a nice person on the field either. So I think you'll gravitate towards that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, if I'm just saying things that I'm sure of, Jakori Barney is going to be on that field.
Yeah.
Like, I'm positive about that.
I'm with you.
I'm a Jakori Barney guy. But I could see, just because of the way, like, we saw flashes last year.
He's going to be also a prime candidate. Can he level up?
That's the thing.
Because it would be easy to not.
Well, we sort of saw it, and we love Jalen Lloyd, right? But, like, we sort of expected a different version of Jalen Lloyd last year than the one we saw as a freshman. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of what we're talking about here is now we need Barney to make sure he levels up.
Well, he has to. It's the same thing that I said about EJ.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge EJ guy, but we're still only talking about a guy with one touchdown last year rushing the football. So that has to increase dramatically, just like so does Barney's production offensively. I went through last year, remember, during one of the shows, I'm like, you guys know what his yards per carry or his yards per catch is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we keep talking about this thing, and he's still growing into the role.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's still a lot left there, and that's why I kind of brought him up in that sort of guys we fall in love with role. Now, again, mindset-wise, I think he's poised to not fall into that.
We're in list season, right? And I keep saying these 5 guys that have to or must be better. And he's almost in none of the lists. I absolutely would put Jakori Barney in that list
as a guy that has to elevate.
Yeah, like importance to what they want to do.
So one is Dylan, right? Just no question.
I would say yes.
Who's your 2 of guys that have to elevate this year?
that need to be good.
Yeah,
Ronnie Van Poppel.
That's my 2. Who's your 3?
Good question. I'm going to go with Pritchett.
Okay.
If Pritchett is good,
or what we think he can be,
they're going to be really good.
Yeah. So I went to the other side.
Yeah, because that's where your attention is.
And I know this is probably foolish, but because of the way he's been talked about, I'm sort of just being like, all right, I think Pritchett's good. I'm going to leave it alone. So I went to Gatula. Or whoever plays that right tackle. Because you just said yourself, hey, we've got the 4. If the right tackle gets figured out, watch out. So I go to the right tackle and I go, okay, whoever that is, I'm using Gunner because he started last year, but could be whoever, right? If the right tackle elevates, then all of a sudden I feel really good.
I'm for anything. I'm for anyone or anything that keeps Lutovsky at guard.
Absolutely.
So I can cheer my brains out for anybody. I just, if you're good guard, center guard, you give yourself more than a chance.
Lutovsky, Evans, Spindler. Just leave it there. And figure out the rest. Who are the other candidates at right tackle if it's not Gatula and if Lutovsky stays inside?
Canuck, I think you got to take a look at.
Okay.
Obviously, people are going to roll their eyes, but I love him, and he's done everything he could to put himself in position to be healthy. I think, Teddy is in the discussion. I think we're sleeping on Turner Corcoran, especially if he can play inside. Could he be a right tackle?
I don't think you want him to have to be.
Could be, though.
Sure.
Just don't know how his movement comes back.
Yeah, that's kind of why.
Again, you still got Canuck. And if you want to move Lutovsky, then maybe you could play a Majacek or Sledge or somebody like that.
Yeah, so I was thinking Sledge inside maybe.
So, I mean, the thing about Gatula is he hasn't been able to lift.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I mean, he, like the eyeball test, he looks kind of like a regular student.
Sure. Like his body hasn't transformed the way we've seen some of these other linemen.
Yeah, and which was one of the main things that he needed to do this offseason.
Yeah.
Get bigger, stronger. He just hasn't been able to because he got his shoulder cleaned up. So
I just wonder how much that is going to weigh against the experience he got last year.
Experience is important, but I think he was limited physically. He shouldn't have been playing that early.
Yeah. What?
I mean, he's got to get bigger, stronger.
Do we know? And I don't know if it's out there. Do we know when he is able to start lifting again?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure he's. I'm not.
He's doing some stuff, but
yeah,
not like in
I
the
don't
full.
know it like that.
Yeah. No, I was just asking if there was. I didn't know if it'd been put out there. What the
no, but I just think I look at that as the fact that he played a year ahead of schedule and was functional. I think I'm not going to go as far as to say poster child, but
it's kind of remarkable though.
It is. It is
because he wasn't ready.
It
didn't look bad.
Yeah, like it is.
But that also, so that sort of goes back to my point that I made last year, right? Where I go, okay.
And again, Andrew Rogers is the only one that saw it coming.
Is this guy who wasn't physically ready and was good enough anyway? If you can throw him in there, then I like my chances if I have to go to a Canuck or if I have to move Lutovsky out.
Canuck is intriguing.
Yeah.
Because I like the way he's intriguing to me because I like the way that he kind of does life.
You
know, he's mature. He goes to work. Like he's an easy guy to root for.
Yeah.
Says a lot of the right things. He's pretty engaging. He's the type of person that this is going to sound weird because it doesn't help you win football games, but it does help build programs. He's the type of guy that would like help you across the street or help get some stuff out of your car. Or like if you were moving, he'd say, you know, he's other centered. So
I think that does matter in an offensive line as much as anywhere.
Well, you can't function with those guys if you're not.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, go back and listen to and it's not just because Jess and I did it. Go back and listen to Pritchett's interview.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I was floored because he was so authentic. And he looked dead at me, and I'm looking up about 7 feet. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, you don't take that stuff for granted. I'm not going to say at Bama it was like fend for yourself because those guys were good. But he said here is different.
Yeah, it's everybody.
I was like, I mean, I watched it. I told you the stories about the bowl game getting on the bus. And I gave you the analogy.
The same and how they lift the
well,
same.
It was like the scene in Malcolm X where they were protesting out in front of the hospital.
Yeah.
And the cop was like, that's too much power for one man to have. They didn't move until this particular lineman said,
time to go.
Time to go. And then they all went. And I was like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with winning? Nothing, but everything.
I was going to say a lot.
Right?
It has a lot
Nothing but everything.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with winning. It's like when Coach Rhule talks about the box in the hallway on the recruiting trip, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does that have to do with winning? Nothing, but how you do things matters, right? Are there any other, because I'm looking at, you got to be at least in year 2 in the program, right? To have even a shot at playing on the offensive line.
I think that's the way it should be.
No, I agree. So is there anybody else? I mean, we mentioned Machacek. I mean,
Sledge
is in his second year.
Catula's in his second year.
Were you there like Gibson Pyle?
No.
Okay. Gatula's being his third year, right? He was redshirt freshman last year. So last year was in his second year.
I'm confused and I shouldn't. Sure, I'll go with it.
No one like a Knutson yet.
He's interesting.
Frame wise,
he's interesting.
Yeah.
Give me another one. I'm missing one.
Preston Taumua.
Yep. Another good one.
Those are so Knutson
another good one.
Knutson and Taumua are the ones that I'm kind of looking at.
Listen, his body.
Yeah.
Sensational.
I mean,
he's kind of carrying himself different.
Yeah.
You know, I think Bricks is going to be in the discussion.
Bricks will be in his second year.
Yeah.
Now I know people always looked at him kind of as they assumed he'd be a guard, but so they did with Lutovsky, and they're talking about him at tackle. Like, and I think Bricks is probably a little more athletic than Lutovsky, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna have options.
Well, you get to 10 without squinting.
Yeah. I mean, how many we just named now?
And
you know whose name we haven't even said yet? Kenny Prohaska.
Yeah. Well,
I have no idea.
I didn't say his name out loud. I said,
yeah.
You know, I get it, but because I cheer for him. But that's always going to be an option at right tackle, and you're not in a position where you have to roll.
That's what's important. That's what's important, is you don't need him necessarily. If you get anything out of him, huge bonus, right?
Yeah.
But you don't
I just like the fact about TP is he just keeps showing up. But again, it's hard. I mean, he's 6'10".
That's the thing, is I just don't know if he's outgrown.
He's 6'10".
Like, it's really hard to get in those positions.
It's a long way to the ground.
It's a long way to the edge rusher trying to get your hands on him.
We'll come up.
Well.
We'll do our own top 5 of guys that have to play well, and you can't use the quarterback. It's too easy.
We'll leave the quarterback out of it. Top 5 guys that have to make a leap. We'll try and get to that tomorrow.
Ain't no telling.